This is directed by David Fincher and stars Daniel Craig, Rooney Mara, Christopher Plummer, Stellan Skarsgård, and Robin Wright. It may surprise some of you to find that I'm not a fan of David Fincher films. I have not seen his film Seven, which I heard was really good, but I have seen Fight Club, which I did not like at all, and I thought The Social Network was okay. To answer your burning questions, no, I have not read any of the books, though I plan to next year, and I have seen the original trilogy. In fact, I own it. Got that for Christmas. Very nice. And I've actually seen the first movie quite recently because in my comparative film class this past semester, we were watching films where the lead protagonists were women. And so I am quite fresh on the material and went into this movie looking to compare and contrast the two movies, and also because my teacher told us about a few things from the book to the original trilogy that were changed, so I was looking to find if the changes from the book to the trilogy were changed once again or if they were the same in this movie. Now, right off the bat, I will tell you that I thought the Swedish film was better. There were a lot of changes from the Swedish version to the American version. A lot of story elements were changed, like when they came into the movie, you know, whether it was later or earlier, and how they came into the story. Also, the two leads are very different here. You have Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara. I personally liked Daniel Craig a lot more than the guy who's in the Swedish film, though he was still good. And in terms of Lisbeth Salander, in my opinion, the girl who was in the Swedish version was a lot better. I'm not sure what it was, but for some reason I just never believed Rooney Mara was Lisbeth Salander. Whenever, like in the first half of the film, when they're going back and forth between Daniel Craig and her, whenever they got to her, it always seemed like she was in a completely separate film that wasn't the girl with the dragon tattoo. And I'm not sure what it was, but she just didn't seem to be cast right. Some of the changes I liked, some of them I didn't like, some of them I'm really on the fence about. I also didn't care for the guardian in this movie, that is Lisbeth's guardian. I didn't feel like he was cast right. I found the one in the Swedish version a lot more menacing. And also in terms of the graphic scenes, okay, because I've seen the original trilogy, I'm expecting these things, right? Yet they felt forced in this movie almost. They didn't have that same punch. This film also had a really odd opening credit sequence that reminded me a lot of a James Bond movie, which I didn't really feel was necessary. I mean, it felt a little bit too over the top. I mean, just put the title on screen and I'm good. Nothing overly dramatic is required. So overall, this film was a bit of a disappointment. I did like Daniel Craig. I thought that the film was well directed. All the shots were well framed. The pacing felt a lot quicker, yet when the actual mystery is over, they drag out this secondary storyline a lot longer than they did in the Swedish version, and I didn't really feel like they needed to string it out as long as they did, because it just, I mean, it was like one of those things where you're watching a Bond film, the villain dies, but then they just kind of go off on this other storyline for like 15 more minutes, and you're just like, why? In terms of recommendation, it's kind of hard. There's tons of different ways it can come out. You can have read the books, not seen the original trilogy, then you can see this movie, or you can have not read the books, seen the original movies, and then gone to see this movie, or you can just have not read the books or the movies, and then gone to see this movie. So, really, I'm not sure. Plain and simple, this film is not for everyone. And I'm not just saying that because of the content in this film. It really isn't for everyone. So, I'm gonna say rental. Maybe see the first movie in the Swedish trilogy. Maybe. I'm not really sure. I think having watched the first one for me kind of wrecked my viewing of this movie, but I'm not really sure. I'm just not sure. So I'm giving The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo 2.5 out of 5 stars.